I like to clean things. I'm a labeler. I'm a whatever because my mom never loved me enough, because I didn't get enough hugs, because I gave a speech once and everyone laughed at me. By giving these because statements, you actually put all the power into something that is unchangeable in the past. And so you have to keep dealing with it. Whereas if you just said, I do these things, period. If I want to change what I do, then I should just reward myself in the present for doing something different. And so if you want to be a different person because you don't like the person you are right now, then you don't need to blame the things that you can't change, but you blame the things you can. Long term over everything. I know what we're going to do by the time we're dead, and it isn't worth trading that for anything today that could take away from that. Layla breathes this. I really have learned, I would say, almost 100% of my long-term thinking from her. She is just so unwilling to sacrifice anything in the short term that will take away from the long-term goals that we have. I think that's a little bit of our yin and yang. I tend to move faster. I tend to break things. I tend to be more okay with imperfect, like let's get it out there and just see what the market wants, things like that. And on the flip side, she's so protective of our reputation and of making sure that customers have an exceptional experience in whatever we do. But I think we've learned of one another in that way. Because on one hand, if you never get it out there because you keep trying to make it perfect, nothing happens. On the other hand, if you just put out shit, people will hate you and then everyone will tell their friends about it. Name your own price by having a track record of success. The first degree is getting the opportunity to have that success, which means you might have to start below your quote pay grade only so that you can have the opportunity. So if it were me, I would take a big pay cut so that I could get the story of how much impact I made and then leverage the story into the much bigger thing later, rather than trying to get an extra 10 or 20% at this job that won't give me that opportunity. Once I have the opportunity in that place, that's when I crank on my volume so that I can make the fact that I want to say in the future true today. The only time that you truly have no hardship is if you're not growing. The fact that you're in pain means that you are growing, which is why they call them growing pains. And that is voluntary because we chose to become better. And part of that becoming better means breaking the old self that you had into 1,000 pieces and feeling every single crack that has to happen, and then watching the new fresh skin come underneath of it stronger and thicker than before. If there's a top sales guy in your organization who's making more money than you, compare not what his commission check is to yours every month, compare how many calls he's making, how many times he practices the script, how many calls he's made before you, how many sales he's closed before you, what time of day he shows up at work, what time of day he leaves. If you're doing all the inputs, the outputs will always match on a long enough time horizon. And if you are new to the game, then my recommendation is not only to match inputs, but to double or triple the inputs that someone ahead of you is doing. You've got to be like Kobe, right? Where everyone else is doing one practice a day, you do 2 practices a day. And in the beginning, they'll be better than you, and then you'll match them. But because you're doing twice the work, eventually you'll get better, and then that's how you win.
No one needs to build a personal brand. I made all of my money before I had a personal brand. All you have to do is let other people know about your stuff. You can do that with an outbound team. You can do that with paid ads, with actors. There's tons of people who are extremely wealthy who no one knows who they are, who own the businesses. So a business has to let people know about their stuff, but not one specific person needs to do that.
There's 8 ways to get leads, and you should understand one of them very well at the very least. There's 4 that you can do on your own, and there's 4 that you can use other people for. The 4 that you can do on your own is that you can reach out to people you know. Like if you look at every single follower you have on every single social media, every email that you've ever collected across all your email accounts, you probably have a few thousand leads throughout your lifetime, and you just ask them if they know anybody. The second is that you can reach out to strangers one-on-one, and that's cold calls, cold emails, so forth. The third is that you make content, and then the 4th is running paid ads. So if right now you're like, man, I need to get more leads. If you're not doing one of these 4 things, that's why you're not getting more leads. Like there's no other way to get leads. Now, if you want to use other people to get more leads, you use the core 4 to do these 4. So you can get customers who then use those 4 things to get you leads. You can get employees who then use these 4 things to get you more leads. You can get affiliates, and then you can get agencies who can do those same 4 things. No matter which of those 8 things I just went over, the first 4 start with you. And so you have to master one of them.
I had a house in Austin, and we had this big, really nice infinity pool that had like this nice view. And somebody came over and was like, hey, be honest with me. How many times do you even use this pool? And I was like, I use it 5 times a day. And he was like, what? And I was like, every time I walk past it, I look at it and I like it. It's just like somebody saying like, Alex, why don't you do more functional training with your body? I was like, my function is to look jacked. I use it every second of every day. What are you talking about? A lot of people will criticize your decisions because they use their way of valuing the decision and assume it's the same way you value a decision. There's this moment in the Matrix when Morpheus is explaining how fast Neo is going to be. And he's saying,
what are you trying to tell me?
That I'm going to be able to dodge bullets. And Morpheus says, no, when you're ready,
You won't have to.
I spend all my time teaching people how to dodge bullets, how to sell without a brand, how to sell without authority, how to sell from day one, how to make money when you have nothing, because I've done it. And a lot of times that's where you have to start. And so that's why that's all the stuff that I teach. When you can build a brand and have the patience to do it, which is deliberately curating associations between things people know and things people don't know, which is going to be your business. And ideally, those associations being positive for that audience, that eventually you can take away the thing and they have the positive association with your brand without needing the thing. If you can succeed at doing that, Apple just says we have a new product. buy it. Being willing to walk away in total has made me over $25 million in cash of money that I walked away from and said, I don't need the deal, and then came back, and then they offered me my terms because they needed me. I didn't need them. Mexican, black, white, Asian, gay, straight, whatever. You will always get respect for work. You work your ass off, people will respect you for it. Now the problem comes when you think you're working your ass off, but you really aren't working that hard. It's kind of like the 10 hours of prep for a presentation versus 30. You think you're working hard until you see what hard looks like. But I see that as encouraging because it means that so many people have so much underutilized potential because they just haven't even learned how to work. I see most of my friends once or twice a year, and I work in the meantime. All the friends I have, there is zero social obligations for anything. If I don't respond to a text for 3 days, there is zero drama, it's not even acknowledged. It's just we know that busy people understand that busy people are doing shit. And so if everyone you have who's in your world understands that you're trying to take this hill, then if they're truly your friend, then they want you to take the hill more than they want you to respond to their text or come out with them for the weekend. If I have 365 days a year, what are my bottom 10% days gonna look like? Probably pretty shitty. How many of those a year do I get? 36. Well shit, there's 12 months in a year. Okay, well I'm getting 3 of those a month. That's actually like fairly common. It's every 10 days. I have a bottom 10% day. And so I think about that a lot where I'm like, I don't necessarily need to change anything. I think my plan's fine. I just need to increase my tolerance for the fact that what bottom 10% days look like.